happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having a fantastic weekend just as we get ready for the holiday week next week. I'm going to open this door for the chicken coop because some of my chickens, despite us having snow on the ground, have decided to come out of the coop today. The youngsters do that. It's not necessarily very helpful, but if they get into an argument with one of the other chickens, they just jump the fence and then refuse to go back. But if I open the door, generally they figure out a way of jumping back in. And Ghost is not going to chase the chickens, are you, Ghost? Ghost is doing very well. He's having a lovely time. He is already learning new tricks and things. It's pretty camouflaged in the snow right now, don't you think? But thanks to everybody last week for being so wonderful and welcoming Ghost to our lovely family. The chickens have jumped in, so I'm going to shut the door. We've got another week of content coming up, and then things get a little bit crazy because we're all heading off to CES in Las Vegas, and obviously it is Christmas, and the team are going to be off for Christmas. Look at that wet snow. We're also apparently going to get a huge amount of snow in the next week. So I hope that the courtesy car I have right now, this Nissan Leaf, gets to go away and I get my Chevrolet Bolt back, Artemis. For those who've been watching, Artemis has now officially had her battery upgrade, which is great news. She still has to have a little bit more accident repair work done, and then hopefully maybe tomorrow or Tuesday I'll be able to get my car back. And let me know if you want me to do a range test, because I know a lot of people haven't really talked about the battery replacements. And so I would love to see if my Chevrolet Bolt now gets really improved range because of the battery upgrade. I think at the moment the onboard software says it's got 291 miles of range based on my last bit of driving, but whether that's because of the software update, whether that's because of the battery replacement or what, who can say? But that's not what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about one of my oldest memories of electric vehicles, namely the good old-fashioned British milk float. If you don't know, back in the, well, I guess from the end of the Second World War onwards, milk floats were common sights on UK roads, especially in towns and cities. And milk floats were specially designed low-speed commercial vehicles powered by batteries, massive lead-acid batteries that would drive around residential areas early in the morning delivering milk bottles, milk and bread and eggs and eventually other things to people's homes, so that when they got up in the morning there was always fresh milk on the doorstep ready for the day ahead. Now obviously when the milk deliveries started and the milk floats were first being used, not everyone had a refrigerator, so getting fresh cold milk early in the morning was kind of a bonus. But over the last couple of years, or last couple of decades even, milk floats have kind of fallen out of fashion. They've often been used as the reason why people say electric vehicles are slow and boring and nobody wants an electric vehicle, when the reality is that they were very efficient. They were quiet, so they never woke people up. Yes, the milk bottles clanged, but because of the way they were geared, because of their power, because of how they were built, they could carry a lot of stuff using very little energy. And today they've kind of become a bit of a collector's item. But I want to know if you would like to see the milk float back. Now, obviously, I'm coming as an expat Brit who remembers milk floats from her childhood. We didn't have one on the farm because my dad was essentially the milkman. He brought the milk home from the dairy. But a lot of people I knew did have a milk delivery service, and some of them did rely on milk floats. Now, in the 80s and 90s, they did start to go back towards diesel trucks and diesel vehicles. The Ford Transit was a popular conversion into a milk float, and that ran on diesel. But as commercial fleets around the world are switching back towards electric, and as people in a COVID world don't want to necessarily go to the shops every day, you know, I've actually got to go shopping this afternoon, I think it's time for a milk delivery service or a grocery delivery service to come back using that kind of setup. Maybe it's a small town where they use electric milk floats or vehicles similar to it to deliver, you know, your everyday items, your bread, your milk, your orange juice or whatever else you want to have for your daily breakfast. Maybe it's for delivering things from, you know, big companies like Amazon or whatever. We're seeing the Rivian delivery truck, but I'm talking about a more local delivery service. So your local town might have a couple of people that work on a delivery route and they have a couple of electric vehicles. They maybe only cover a small area between them, but it keeps it local. They can maybe have solar panels on the roof of the depot, and it would be a really low cost, great way of getting delivery services back. There was nothing wrong with the milk floats. They were just a bit slow because they were geared that way. But if you think about how battery technology has grown in the last couple of years, and my dog is round by the chicken coop eating things he shouldn't, so I'm going to go and rescue him, or rather encourage him to come back. Ghost, please don't eat chicken poo. That's not very good for you. No. Puppies, eh? And I would love to know if you would pay to have a service like that in your local town or your village or your city, and what you would like to see delivered. Because I think we're so hyper-focused on the very best technology for our vehicles, like, you know, super high energy density lithium ion, that maybe lead acid batteries could still be used. They're very cheap, they're very easily recyclable. Maybe they could be for our commercial fleets, the ones that don't need to drive huge distances and don't need to go fast. If you think about a delivery vehicle that makes a stop every half mile or so, it doesn't really need to have a high top speed to get between A, B and C. It maybe needs to go at 30 miles an hour, maximum 40 miles an hour. And maybe we should be delivering more things with delivery vehicles that are akin to a milk float. So would you like to see the milk float return? I think I would, although up here in the middle of nowhere in rural Oregon, we're about 6 miles from the local town, I think that might be pushing it. But if you lived in a town or a village or a city, maybe that's the chance. Me, I'm going to go now and get milk from the local dairy. I literally drive to the farm and I go inside and I buy my milk direct from them. And for that, I'm going to be using the courtesy Nissan Leaf we've got here. Keep your eyes peeled for an update from the Bolt EV. We do have the Hyundai Ioniq video coming very soon. And let us know what kind of video you want to see from the channel, because some of our viewer counts have been dropping lately. Our Patreon support is going up because you are all wonderful. But it does make us wonder what the future holds for us. Now, we're bringing a team of 6 to CES this year, and we've already got a lot of things going on. I am on my own this Christmas because my wife is away visiting family who are unwell. And so while she's off visiting elderly relatives, I'm here looking after the dogs and the chickens, so I'm going to carry on working. I'll probably take a day off over the holidays, but let me know if there's a Christmas movie you think I should watch. I would love to know your suggestions. Failing that, it's going to be Star Trek, and probably Star Trek Generations, because there's a Christmas scene in it. So anyway, and of course Sir Patrick Stewart as Mr. Scrooge. You can't have a Christmas without that. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope that you have a fantastic week if you are working. If you are not working, I hope you enjoy the beginning of your holidays. I'll be back next week, fingers crossed, with another video. But until then, goodbye from me, goodbye from those two, and keep evolving.